When you're using video to grow your business, it's important that you look your best. In this video, I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can do just that. Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Nick Polkowski, and here we talk all about videography and live streaming and how you can use that to grow your business. And recently I did a presentation for a group of local businesses where I talked about how to grow their business with live streaming. And I want to share one section of that presentation with you where I discuss a few tips on how to look your best on camera. Let's dive in. We're going to jump and talk about looking your best. This is going to be a big thing for people, and I definitely think it's going to be important for people. So how can you make your live stream look more professional? How can you make it go well? How can you really get that through and make sure things work well and that you look professional, no matter what type of equipment you have? We're going to talk about some camera basics, some things that you can do to get your live stream across the best way possible. And so with camera basics, let's jump in. The first thing is going to be to really realize that the lens is your audience. So you're going to notice, even right now, notice I'm kind of looking at you directly in the eye. I'm talking directly to the audience. So many people, when they're on, even Zoom webinars or when they're live streaming, they'll be looking here. They're looking down at the screen where you're not necessarily talking to the audience. You're just kind of talking straight to the screen. It feels like more natural because you're looking at the person, talking to them. But when you want to drive home a point, you need to realize that the lens really is your audience, and that's going to be the best way to connect with them. You also are going to want to try and have your lens at about eye level. You want to avoid having those low shots, where your computer is on your desk and your laptop screen is tilted up, because honestly, nobody it's not flattering to have the up and nose shot on anybody. We don't want those shots. We want to have, even if it's your iPhone, whatever it might be, you want to have it so your lens is at about eye level. And you also, again, want to realize where your camera is. So on the phone, it's over towards the front here, or just get to know where your lens is on your different camera pieces. Have it at about eye level. If you're using your laptop, you can raise it up with some books, raise your desk, find a box, things like that. You might need to be a little bit creative, but think about how you can get that so that you have a really nice frame. Your camera's at about eye level. You want your head, honestly, closer to the top of the frame, like mine is here, versus slouching way down or having, and I'm sure you've all seen those ones where the people head is half in the shot or in the video. You want to frame things up so you look more professional and look better. All right, and now once you think about your lens, think about kind of realize where your audience is, the next big piece is to know that you need to bring the energy. So a lot of us might even be used to speaking in person. This is where being live and being on video is going to be very different than even giving a stage presentation. On a stage presentation, there are other people there. You can feedback. You feel the energy. You receive some of the energy from the people in attendance, and you can kind of feed off that and be nice and high energy. But when you're live, it's you in a room. And oftentimes it's just you sitting there by yourself. Sometimes you won't even necessarily be getting comments and things. Like here, at least I know I'm getting some comments from people, which is good. We'll dive into the chat later. But yeah, so that's going to be a huge thing that you need to be able to bring that energy, because you need to kind of just exude extra energy there to make things work for people. Now I want to quickly talk just a little bit about what to wear, because that is going to kind of affect the camera a little bit. I'm not going to give fashion advice overall, but I want to help make sure that you look the best on camera. You're going to want to avoid small patterns. I have a really nice blazer I love that's gray with a lot of little, really tiny white dots all over. Well, if I was to wear that on here, some of you might think you're having a stroke, because the lines will start moving. It does this weird optical illusion, and that can happen with any small pattern. So checkers or anything like that, if it's big enough, will be fine. But if it's smaller, it can start having weird motion, just naturally kind of produced from the camera and from the video. So you're going to want to avoid that. If you're in doubt, go ahead and test it out, check it out, see how that works. Other things to think about, generally solid colors are going to be great. So like a navy, a dark blue, grays, blacks, those are generally really solid, great colors. But most solid colors will play well on camera, will look well. Other thing to avoid is any like dangly, or be careful about your accessories. If you have a microphone on or something, like a dangly necklace or earrings might be hitting that microphone. Like if I were to wear French cuffs, it's not something I'm going to want to do, because every time I set my hands down, there'd be a big click and you'd hear that through the microphone. So you want to avoid some of those things and kind of just realize that. Now, when we're talking about looking your best on camera, big overwhelm here is going to be gear. And that's going to hold a lot of people back. I want to briefly run through some of this stuff, because we can talk about gear for days. That could easily be a full day event kind of thing. But I want to make sure you don't just buy random gear or something that you hear. You want to really think about where you want to get to, and you want to know what's possible with the live stream and where you want to do. Do you want to eventually have a multiple camera in-person interview set where you have multiple mics and you have graphics and can add in videos and all those kinds of things? If you want that, then you need to know where you want to get to. But you need to start wherever you are. For many of us, that's going to be the phone. Your mobile phone, that will do great live streaming for most of you, I'm going to assume all of you. So that's going to be a great spot to start. Start there, know what's possible, and then be upgrade focused. So think about along the lines, how can I continue to improve things, continue to grow things, and how can I make smart purchases along the way? Oftentimes, it's much better to save and spend more money on a higher quality piece of equipment that's going to fit within your upgrade, where you eventually want to go, than it is to buy something cheaper now that might give you small improvements, but ultimately break in a couple of months. Believe me, I've done that. I've made the mistake way too many times. You want to have those smart purchases. That's going to be the biggest thing. So now, with this, don't let gear in general overwhelm you. I want you to really be focused on adding complexity, slowly adding those extra things in. You're not going to jump in and on your first live stream try and do all the things, try and have multiple cameras, do all the stuff. I definitely didn't start where I am right now. Things start right where you are. If you're not used to going live, your first time, just go live. Second time, work on bringing in the cameras, bringing in the comments, responding to people's comments, whatever it might be. Slowly build on the things that you're doing. Don't try to do it all at once. You're going to get better by consistently repeating this process, by learning, by slowly growing. So really focus on just adding complexity to things as you go along. We're going to cover gear very briefly. Let's first talk about sound. Sound is one of the most important things when it comes to video, live streaming especially, but video in general. People will stick around if you have bad video, if it's a little choppy and they can hear you just fine, good quality audio. People are going to stick around, going to kind of push through that, whereas it's the complete opposite with video. If the video's buttery smooth 4K, but your sound is cutting in and out or a little bit choppy, people are going to leave that live stream. They're not going to care about it. They're not going to be able to watch it. They're more tolerant of bad video than they are of bad audio. What I want to encourage you to do is one of the things is to try to move away from the internal mic as soon as you can. Notoriously, it's just bad quality audio. They have gotten better, significantly better over the years, but you're going to want to kind of be careful, and I want to encourage you to possibly move away from that internal mic on your laptop or desktop to something external or something a little bit higher quality, whether that's one of the iPhone AirBuds or some other headset microphone or a USB microphone or a boom microphone or anything like that. I want you to just kind of slowly try to move away from that internal one. But even probably bigger than your actual mic is going to be the environment that you have. The the more you can create the right environment, the better your audio is going to sound, even on cheaper microphones. So like if you're doing your live stream in a big empty room with lots of hardwood floors and glass wall and like lots of windows everywhere, it's going to echo. You're just going to get a lot of echoey sound no matter what kind of microphone you use. You want to try and create the right space. So simple things you can do is, like, honestly, the best location for sound-wise in your entire house is going to be your closet. I'm not necessarily suggesting you spend all your time live streaming from your closet. No one wants to see, my fashion choices. I don't want to have you expose other people to that either. But you're going to want to think about, how can I add in things that are going to improve my environment? So that might be soundproofing. In the studio here, I actually have, I can even show you this a little bit later, but we have, obviously not on these two walls, or at least the parts in the camera, but everything else that's not in the camera right now is basically covered in moving blankets. It's there to help dampen the sound. Moving blankets work really well. We have carpet in here. I have blackout curtains on the windows that are going to help absorb sound. So we want to have other things that are going to kind of absorb sound. So blankets, even grabbing some of those, throwing them on the floor. Pillows, if you have those, you can throw those around you. When working with clients, we'll even bring like a moving blanket, or it could be another type of blanket, and just kind of drape it again out of the view of the camera, but have it kind of cutting off those other sides to help dampen some of that sound. So that's going to be kind of thing. The key thing is really to think about what can you do to kind of dampen that sound, and then just think about some of your mic options. There's lots of really great USB mics out there. I'm going to recommend kind of a great starter one as the ATR 2100. I believe it's X now. They have some sort of letter, X or E, I always forget, but that's a great little microphone at a fairly reasonable price. That's a good one if you're looking to make a purchase, but otherwise you can find headphones that have mics in them that will be a little bit better. Just start thinking about ways to improve your sound. Lighting is going to be another big key, another big thing that you can do to really help improve things. Lighting makes any type of camera, it's going to make it look better, whether it's your iPhone, whether it's a fancier camera, whether it's a webcam. Having good lighting will make it look better. Now, many people are going to start out using natural light. Perfectly fine, great way to go about it. The key thing, a couple key things you're going to want to realize with natural light is, sitting in front of a really nice open window is going to be great for light. It's going to be a great way to kind of bring that in. You want to make sure the light is in front of you. That's going to be a general rule here that I'll kind of list for everyone. You don't want lights behind you. It'll kind of throw off the exposure. People won't be able to see you very well. You'll just be backlit. It won't be a good look. Now, if you really start knowing what you're doing, people are talking about adding lights to the backdrops to create separation, or hair lights, things like that. But in general, start with lights in front of you. Whether that's natural lights, whatever. If you're looking to make purchases, again, try to find good, high quality lights, LED lights that are going to grow with you when you're going about doing that. Now let's jump into some just camera recommendations. Now you're going to notice, I want to first of all call this out, we didn't start with camera recommendations. A lot of times people want to jump to cameras, talk about cameras. They're always my favorite to talk about too, just because they are the most interesting, I feel, in terms of equipment. But as long as you have an acceptable camera, sound and lighting should be the first things you really invest in, first things you look to improve. Because you're going to get more bang for your buck on those, you're going to see higher quality improvement initially, and then start bringing in some higher quality cameras. But even if you have a really amazing camera or Red or anything like that, if you don't have it lit properly, if the sound's bad, the overall video is going to be bad. So you're going to want to first start with a good camera. I recommend trying to jump away from your computer webcam as soon as you can, kind of thing. It'll definitely work, but they're notoriously bad. Luckily, on the latest computers, Apple has started to improve their webcams, which has been great. Very needed right now in these days. But see if you can find even an external webcam. I really like the Logitech ones. You can also bring in for Canon cameras, for Sony cameras now too. Just recently, you can actually if you have any of those DSLRs around, you're able to connect them directly to your computer without a capture card or anything like that. You need to download some software. I actually have a full video on my YouTube channel that kind of walks through using your Canon camera as a webcam. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend you do so. It's like the entire step and process. But if you have that DSLR lying around and want to up your webcam game, definitely recommend checking that out. Sony does it too. A few others will as well. But from there, you can also start looking into talking about studio cameras and a few different types of studio cameras. But now that we talked about cameras, let's talk a little bit. First of all, huge topic again. I could go on for a long time. I don't want to do that. So nickpolkowski.com/gear guide. I have a full list of all kinds of the gear that I recommend. But you're also going to want to start thinking about your background for just kind of your general scene, what that looks like. You want to really be intentional with your background. Think about is it that I want to display. You want to show a little bit of your business branding, like do you want that to come through on your background? Do you want your personality to come through on your background? Really think about those things. And then I like to try and add some depth to background when I'm able to. So like even here right now, I have the desk is turned sideways and we're actually at an angle in the room just so I could get a little bit more depth between myself and the camera, and then the background kind of behind me. Just it adds a little more professional quality to there. Now hopefully you're ready to look your best on camera and grow your business with video. Now to get started with Facebook Live, I want to encourage you to go check out this playlist right here, or if you're ready to learn more about YouTube live streaming, check out this video right here, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.